The boarding gate buzzed with the usual chaos, families juggling luggage, businessmen glued to their phones, and flight attendants calling out final zones. Among them stood a tall, broad-shouldered man in his late 30s wearing a faded army jacket. He held his daughter's tiny pink backpack in one hand and a boarding pass in the other. He wasn't the kind of man who drew attention to himself, but his calm, steady presence carried weight. You could tell he'd seen more than most. His quiet eyes said it all. It had been 2 years since James returned from deployment. 2 years since his wife passed away while he was overseas. Now it was just him and his 8-year-old daughter. She was his reason to keep going. As he approached the boarding line, the gate agent frowned at his ticket. "Sir, this ticket isn't valid for first class. You'll need to move to the back." James blinked. "There must be a mistake. The airline upgraded us because of my veteran status." The agent barely looked up. "I'm sorry, sir, but someone else has already taken those seats. Please step aside." A businessman in a tailored suit brushed past him, waving his platinum card with a smug smile. "Don't worry, sweetheart," he said to his companion. "We'll be more comfortable up front." James felt a flicker of irritation but kept his composure. "Come on, Lily," he murmured. "Seats are seats." They walked to row 27, middle seats near the bathrooms. Not exactly comfortable for a 6-hour flight, but James had learned to adapt. Lily leaned against his arm and whispered, "It's okay, Daddy. I like sitting by the window anyway." He smiled softly. "That's my brave girl." As the plane took off, James closed his eyes and listened to the hum of the engines. He didn't need comfort. He just wanted peace. But fate had other plans. About 20 minutes into the flight, turbulence struck, sudden and violent. The seatbelt sign blinked on, and gasps echoed through the cabin. A jolt threw a drink cart down the aisle, spilling coffee and soda everywhere. James's instincts kicked in instantly. He scanned the cabin, flight attendants struggling to stay balanced, passengers gripping their armrests in panic. Lily squeezed his arm, tears welling in her eyes. "It's okay, baby. Look at me," James said calmly. "Deep breaths. We're fine." Then came the sound no passenger ever wants to hear, a sharp, metallic bang. The right engine sputtered, coughed, and died. The plane lurched to one side. The pilot's voice crackled through the speakers, strained and tense. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing a mechanical issue. Please remain seated." But James knew that tone. That wasn't routine turbulence. This was real danger. A flight attendant stumbled by, her face pale. "Sir, please stay seated. I served 10 years as a Navy flight engineer," James said, standing up. "You've got a hydraulic leak. The pressure's dropping." Her eyes woodened. "How? How can you tell?" "The sound. The vibration pattern. Trust me." She hesitated, then nodded. Within seconds, James was at the cockpit door offering help. Regulations normally forbade it, but the captain recognized the calm authority in his voice. Inside, alarms blared. One of the control systems was failing, and the right wing flap was stuck. If it didn't deploy, landing would be impossible. James scanned the controls like second nature. "You've got manual override access under panel C2. I can reroute it if you can hold altitude." The pilot glanced at his co-pilot, then nodded. "Do it." For the next 12 minutes, the cabin was chaos, but in the cockpit it was all focus. James worked fast, his fingers steady despite the adrenaline. Back in the cabin, Lily clutched her little stuffed rabbit and whispered prayers, unaware that her dad was saving everyone on board. Finally, James shouted, "Try it now." The pilot pulled the lever. This time the flap responded. The captain's shoulders sagged in relief. "We've got it. God, we've got it." As the plane descended, every second felt eternal. The landing was rough, but when the wheels hit the tarmac and the plane rolled to a halt, the cabin erupted in applause and tears. When the doors opened, passengers filed out shakily, some weeping, others calling loved ones. James just knelt down, hugged Lily tight and whispered, "Told you we'd be fine." The businessman from first class approached, his face pale. "Sir, I heard what you did. I'm sorry about earlier. I didn't know." James smiled faintly. "You don't owe me an apology. Just be kind next time. You never know who's sitting next to you." By the time they reached the terminal, reporters had already caught wind of the story. Cameras flashed, microphones waved, but James held Lily's hand and walked right past them. He didn't want fame or gratitude. He'd done what any father would do. That night, as Lily fell asleep in his arms at the airport hotel, she murmured, "Daddy, you're a hero." He brushed her hair back and whispered, "No, sweetheart, I'm just your dad." But in that quiet moment, after saving over 180 lives, James Carter finally allowed himself a rare smile. He'd been denied a seat in first class, but that day, he proved that true class has nothing to do with where you sit. It's about what's inside you when everything falls apart, and sometimes that's what saves the world. James sighed. He wasn't a man who liked attention. He had spent years avoiding the spotlight, living quietly, just raising his daughter and staying humble. A knock came at the door. When he opened it, the same businessman from yesterday stood there, this time without the expensive suit, wearing a simple shirt and a nervous expression. "Mr. Carter," he began, "I hope I'm not intruding. I just wanted to thank you again. I barely slept last night thinking about what could have happened." James smiled gently. "You don't need to thank me. We all made it. That's what matters." The man nodded, his voice thick. "You saved my wife's life. My unborn child's life. She's 3 months pregnant. I was too focused on comfort to notice what really matters. You reminded me of that." He reached into his pocket and handed James a small business card. "I own a small aviation safety firm. If you ever need a job or anything, please call me." James hesitated, then accepted the card. "I appreciate that. Really?" When the man left, Lily stirred awake. "Daddy, was that the man from the fancy seats?" James chuckled softly. "Yes, sweetheart. He came to say thank you." She smiled sleepily. "See, being nice always comes back." That afternoon, as they checked out of the hotel, James received a call from an unknown number. It was they herself. "Mr. Carter, this is Evelyn Grant from Skyjet Airlines. We've heard about your incredible bravery. We'd like to meet you and your daughter. Our team owes you a great debt." Later that day, James and Lily arrived at the airline headquarters. They were greeted by applause from pilots, crew, and executives. Cameras flashed, but this time, James didn't shy away. He wanted Lily to see that courage meant doing what's right, not for praise, but because it's needed. The CEO approached, shaking his hand firmly. "You may have been denied first class that day, but you showed us what true class really is. On behalf of Skyjet, we're presenting you with a lifetime travel pass for you and your daughter."